Thank you very much.
Coffin is Alive. I look at comic books new and old. Today I'm looking at a new comic book, the newest issue of Absolute Superman, issue number 6 by DC Comics. This is a $4.99 comic book. It's written by Jason Aaron. We've got a cover by Rafa Sandoval, who is the main artist on this book. But we do have a guest artist on the interiors. Carmine Di Giandomenico is the guest artist on this book. And some really good artwork in this book. Some nice colors here as well. Ulysses Areola does the colors. And we've got Becca Carey doing the lettering. So Ash Padilla is the assistant editor, and we got Chris Conroy, he's the editor. This issue is called Son of Smallville. And as you can tell by the cover, kind of leaning into the, jingoistic aspects of a small town, kind of the racism, xenophobia, as we've got Superman, obviously teenage Kal-El here. He's come crashing into Smallville for the first time, landing on Earth, surrounded by these men with guns. So pretty obvious what they're going for here. I do like the fact Jason Aaron, the writer here, he's leaning into Superman basically being an immigrant and trying to tell it through the eyes, through the lens of kind of a modern take of Superman coming to Earth. Even though the Earth here in this book is like an alternate universe. It's like a darker Earth, kind of controlled by Darkseid. We're not really sure all the ins and outs as the reader as to what is going on really in this absolute universe, who's kind of pulling the strings, what's really going on here. But we do get some insight into that at the end of this issue, which is good. And it seems like they're really building up to something big, like what we've seen so far here in this absolute universe is really just the beginning of what they're setting up. So you get a sense of that here in this issue. But pretty easy to follow issue here, as we've got Kal-El. Obviously, he's coming from deep space. We see, this all started 6 years ago, so he's 6 years older now in the current day than what we're reading about here. He's still kind of like 14, 15 years old, I think, at this point. Leaving Krypton, we get like messages basically like from his journal here talking about what was going on. And he's communicating with his AI suit named Soul here, which makes up all of the these special powers that he has in his cape. They all come from this AI device named Soul that was created by Kal-El's mother. So, but we see 8 days ago, 8 weeks ago, 8 months ago. So he's in space for a long time. He's really starting to lose it here. You get a sense that he's pretty terrified being here in deep space all alone. He tells his AI that he just wants to be sent out into space. He's ready to just end this. And pretty much right then, they come upon Earth, and Soul lets Clark know that he's actually found life on a planet after traveling through the galaxy and not finding any life anywhere. Which I thought was kind of weird because, in this comic book world, you would think that they would find life on planets somewhere else, that there aren't, because there's just such a vast array of alien life forms in the DC universe. But alas, they don't. They end up here on Earth. They finally find a planet able to sustain life, so the AI suit takes Kal-El there. And of course, we come across the Kents here. And their farm hasn't had any rain for a long time. And we learned that they're the Lazarus Corporation, which is pretty much in control of everything. They've been able to engineer the weather and control the weather And the Kent's neighbors down the street who let the Lazarus farm basically buy their farm, they're getting rain, but the Kents who still won't let the Lazarus farm come into their property, they're not getting any more rain. So then we get Superman crash landing here. He's got no ship. Martha mentions that it looks like he just absorbed his ship. Some really great colors and artwork here. He looks like almost like a phoenix here. But he's speaking another language. They can't understand him. Martha says he's just a boy, of course, so we have to take care of him. He's got 160-degree fever, they say, which is just crazy, but he's still alive. He breaks the bed when he wakes up. He's like levitating. His laser beam eyes go off here. I really love, there's some really like awkward looking faces here by the artist here on Kal-El too, and it works really well. He finally wakes up and just blasts off. He can't even understand how this is kind of happening to him because he was the clumsiest kid back on Krypton. He says, what was this land of surreal horror where Soul had stranded me? I would come to learn it was a place called Kansas. But he also feels like he's come to a place and he starts to feel at home. And he's helping the Kents here. He's living with the Kents for a period of time, you know, fixing their tractor, doing whatever he can for them. But the suit that Kal-El has, you know, it's got these AI components. And it noticed the weather drones up in the sky. So it took the liberty of shooting them down so that the Kents could get some crops. Water for their crops, obviously. And of course, this was not a good idea. This immediately leads the Lazarus Corporation to the Kent farm here. It says they report an immigration violation. So some pretty obvious allegories here in this book about immigration, maybe our current immigration situation here that we're dealing with. But we've got all these peacemakers show up to take the boy away. The suit says, Kal, I cannot allow you to be taken by these men. Kal-El just wants to tell everybody about Krypton, everything he's been through. He's been through this huge traumatic experience, this, 8 billion light years through space all the way to Earth here. And he's still going through even more once he gets here to Earth. And you can kind of see the frustration and desperation here in Kal-El's face as he cries and he just shoots up into the sky here as fast as he can to get away. He said, I ran for years to other farms far away, to factories and mines, cities where people were piled on top of each other like trash, and islands where you could stay for days and never see another soul. But nowhere stayed safe, not for long, and no place felt so much like home as the home they might have been. So he leaves the Kents after not staying with them for very long. I do like the change in kind of the Superman lore here, where Superman's much older. When he comes and meets the Kents, he's not a baby. I like the kind of obvious place that they went to with immigration coming in and trying to take the boy away. Not a very far leap to get that storyline into this book. Kind of expected that, to be honest, but I like how they did it here. It was really well done, and I like the artwork in this book as well. We get kind of 2 epilogues at the end, as we've seen that Martha is still living in this senior center here in Smallville, and Lois Lane, who is an agent for the Lazarus Corp, shows up here asking for her. And then we get an epilogue with Brainiac talking to who we find out is Ra's al Ghul here. And we get a really cool splash page of the reveal of Ra's al Ghul. So Lazarus is his corporation, obviously, and he's working with Brainiac. We don't really know what Brainiac's up to here, but he says Agent Lane is quite the dogged investigator. She's required barely any coaxing on my part. Just a nudge, really. Then all the pieces are in place? Oh yes, I believe they are. I must say, I often doubted your methods, Brainiac, along with your very sanity. And we see this insane smile by the visage of Brainiac here, I guess. And he says, well, you would not be the first. Then we get Ra's al Ghul saying, but deliver what you have promised me, and you ensure your place in the world that is coming. We see the Lazarus pit here. He says, salvation is close at hand for billions upon billions. So a nice ending here to this book, and we get a preview of Fire and Ice. Not something I'm too interested in here. And we get an interview with Al Ewing, who's writing the new Absolute Green Lantern book as well, so check that out. But as far as the issue itself, Absolute Superman, really like this issue. I've enjoyed every issue of this series so far. Pretty much every time I get done reading one of these comics, Absolute Superman, I don't want it to end. It feels like I just want more, which is what you want out of a comic. And that's what we're getting here with the Absolute Universe, I feel like. So go check it out, and go check out my channel. I do post daily comic book reviews. Go read comics.